Well, hi guys, how's everybody doing? Are you all wet like me? This is the weather. It is absolutely chucking it down. I don't know whether the camera will pick it up that well, but it is chucking it down. And it seems every time I want to do something, I get this. Terrific. As you can hear, it's chucking just about everything at us at the moment. Thundering, lightning, absolutely everything. The rain's just eased a little bit from the downpour, but I can't see me getting a lot done at the moment. All's good in the filter house. I might have some alterations coming up in here. I've got plans going through my head. I might have one or two alterations in the actual filter house, so that'll probably be in future videos. Let me just zoom in to show you what we've got in the pond, if I can get out of the glare. We've got 20.5 degrees in the pond. It's about 25 here today, so not too bad, but we're still holding 20 in the pond, so that's not bad. Everything else is going great guns. The RDF, well, it's always just ticking away there. It's never a lot of problem really, that's not. And the moving bed, as I say, I might be making one or two alterations. It's all going through my head and getting planned in my head at the moment, but that'll be in future videos. But all's good in there, no problem in there at all at the moment. Well guys, every time I want to do something, we seem to get one of these. It is chucking it down. So every time I want to start to do something, I want to get my lilies cut back again today, get the pond tidied up. But unfortunately, absolutely no chance. We were struggling for water. Don't think we are now. Try to drain a little bit off the pond, it's filling up again. But this is why I'm getting nothing done. This is what we've got at the moment, I'm afraid. Well guys, did we get a battering yesterday? Wow, look what it's done to my garden. It's absolutely wrecked it. Trashed it. Hanging baskets are all beaten to death now. I think they've about had it. My flowers that I was so proud of have taken a right bashing. But they might come back, you never know, as long as we don't get any more torrential rain like that. The pond really needs some looking after. The lilies are actually starting to grow up the other side of the pond actually. The leaves are actually starting to grow in with the conifers, so I've got to get that light out of there and get some stuff tidied up. We've got bits of broken branch and all sorts of things trying to get in the skimmer, so a good tidy up's the order of the day I think at the moment. Get rid of some of these lily leaves and give the pond a hoovering I think. But wow, did we get a good hiding with that rain. The lily, let's just take a quick look. Over here, my little lily, we've got another leaf come, but I don't know whether you've noticed, but if I can get in a bit closer, the leaves it was starting to throw out originally was pretty bad. It was in a pretty bad state and there was all, as you can see, cracked and wrinkled. But now the lilies that's coming up are slowly getting better and better, and that's the latest one that's come up. That's a real nice leaf. And I can just see under the water there, I don't think you'll see it, but there is another leaf coming, so it's chucking leaves out right, left and centre now. Good news. What I shall have to do, because I only put it in a small pot because it was only a tiny lily, I'm going to have to take it out and repot it. I'm going to leave it a bit longer and I'm going to have to pot it into a bigger pot because I only put it in a small pot because it was in this container. So I shall have to do something about that, but it looks like we are making progress with my fancy lily. Well, there we go guys, a major clear out. Really give them a thinning out. As you can see, we've got plenty out of there, and there's still those left, but it looks a lot better. You can actually see a few fish now, but yeah, great stuff. Well guys, we seem to have got a bit of a day without some rain, which is quite good. So I've taken the net off the pond, but I've got one or two projects on at the moment which I'm just going to talk about quickly. If we go into the filter house, have a look in here. I won't go right in because the air pump is quite noisy, but at the back there on my pump, what is a real pain in the butt and has been all this season is emptying the basket on that pump. Well, what I've been looking around for is some sort of pre-filter for that pump, which is always very difficult when you're drawing straight from the pond and it's above pond water level. But I have found something that I'm going to have a go at. So what I will do is show you down the other shed, and I'll give you some idea of what I've got in mind. So if we have a wander down into the other shed, I'll show you what I've got up to yet in here. What I've got there, I've bought myself a brand new 120 litre tub, which is brand new, and they're quite strong, and there's a good reason for that. I'll just put the lights on, see if we can get some more light in here. That's better. So I've just bought that because what I'm going to try to make is a pre-filter of it to go in front of my pump, because it is a pain. Some days I'm having to clean it twice. Being as I keep lilies in my pond, there's always mess coming off the lilies plus the fish. So the basket on that pump I'm emptying twice a day, which is a bit of a pain in the butt, like I say. So what I've got is that. I've also bought myself a metre square sheet of polypropylene, which I'm hoping to make some sort of insides and workings for a pre-filter on this 120 litre tub. I'm not quite sure how it's going to go yet, but I've got that many projects on the go at the minute. It's getting out of hand. I'm doing a new partition wall here that I'm making out of polypropylene for the RDF, and I've got that, but I won't be doing that until the pond season's about over, because what I shall want to do is completely shut the RDF down to fit that, which will take a couple of days, because I've got several bits that I want to do while it's shut down. And I've also bought myself a reel of flexi pipe so that I can actually pump to the filter beds that I've got, like the moving bed and the Backy River. I want to keep water flowing through them. So I've got a 10,000 litre an hour pump. I'm going to pump water through them, through a small pressure filter into them, to keep them up and running. I don't want them dropping off. So to keep them thriving, I'm going to pump water around while everything else is shut down while I do fit this. But that is the new wall that I'm building at the moment. It's made out of, I think it was 15mm polypropylene. It's quite thick stuff anyway. But like I say, I've got that to do, but I want to get on with this pre-filter. I want to have a go at that. My drum's just arrived, as you can see, it's brand spanking new. So I've got my polypropylene sheet, I've got that. So now I'm going to start to build the insides for this, and I'll let you guys know how it all goes. Well, what I've been doing here guys is a few experiments. I've been experimenting. I've been using the filter that I use for the pond vac, and I've been experimenting on what sort of filter system I want to be using, what sort of direction the water wants to take, how it wants to hit that mesh, because I shall be using a similar sort of mesh in it to take out all the big stuff and separate all the larger particles that keep bunging my pond pump up. And I've been using the 10,000 litre an hour pump. I don't think I'm getting 10,000 litres an hour from it, but that's what I'm using. And as you can see, I've been doing different things with 2-inch pipe and what have you, and I think I roughly know where I want to be with it now. It will be pretty similar to that, but I shall have a reservoir before the mesh so that the water doesn't flow too fast across the mesh. What a lot of people do is they tend, when they build these things and this sort of thing, they tend to blast the water at the mesh, which you really don't want to do. Your water wants to be coming across the mesh and falling through it. If you blast the water at the mesh, all you're doing is forcing dirt into the mesh to get trapped. Your water wants to be coming across the mesh and falling through it, which then pushes all the particles down the mesh. Instead of getting stuck into the mesh, it pushes the particles down the mesh, which is basically what you're looking for. And I've just been experimenting here, so I think I know roughly what I want now. So I think I've cracked it. I think I've got that, so I can move on to the next stage now. All good stuff. Okay guys, this is what I meant by I've got 1 or 2 projects on. What I'm making here at the moment, I'll just do a bit on each, you don't get fed up with one project then. What I'm making here at the moment is a new waste trough for the RDF. And the one that I've used household guttering, which really isn't wide enough. It does do the job, but I'd like something a little bit wider. So basically what I'm doing here is I've cut some strips of polypropylene, sorry, and I'm going to heat weld them into a trough, make a trough out of it. Those will go both sides like that. What I've got is 7 inches wide here, and the trough that I've got is about 3.5, so it's just going to give me that bit extra, and then that's just another little job I've got to do to the RDF when it's all shut down. But I want to get this made up so it's all ready to go. But that's just another little project I've got on the go at the moment. There we go guys, that's the start of the gutter. So I've just got to put the ends in it now, get the ends in it, and then get the hole for the wastewater to go out to the drain. But that's the start of it anyway. Okay guys, that's got the tray made, or the guttering for the RDF. Hope you can see that. All done. I've just got to drop the drain in my end now, the connection for the drain, and then it'll be ready to go in. Great stuff. And there we go guys, it's all done. The drainage is in the other end, ready to be plumbed, so that's another project done. So I can move back now onto one of my others and get stuck into that. That's the new drainage for the RDF, all completed, ready to be fitted. Now when building this, the actual waste trough for the RDF, it's not come out too bad, but plastic welding hasn't been my strong point, as you've probably seen in previous videos. So I actually treated myself to one of these, which is a plastic welding gun. Let me just put the light on so you can see better. It's a plastic welding gun. They're not cheap, I must say. If you get it right, they are good, but if you ever want to try one, do quite a bit of practicing with it first, because they're not as easy to use as they make it look. On YouTube, you'll see videos of them on YouTube. They're not as easy to use as they make it look. But I did get it done and get away with it, and it does seem to be quite strong. It is a strong weld when you do it, but they are not as easy to use as they make out on YouTube. It does take quite a bit of practice to get used to them. That weld is held and it's watertight because I've tried it, but when you get things like in the corners and that sort of thing, that's where it becomes a bit awkward, and you have to try to do it by hand, which like I say, it is difficult. Once you get the hang of it, it's not too bad. You do get better as you go along, but like I say, they're not as easy as they show you on the YouTube videos of them. Well guys, a couple of days on and my garden is coming back a little bit. My flower has actually pulled through and coming out really nice now. I've been really pleased with that this year. It's come really well, that has. Down the pond, I don't know whether you've noticed, but I have moved the tall iris that was this end down to the bottom of the pond, and it's much better down there. From my house, it's a much better view of the pond. As you can see, if you can remember what it was like, you get a much better view of the pond. The lily leaves, well, they're coming up a little bit yellow now. It's getting that time of year. We're still getting the odd flowers, but basically I think they're coming up a little bit yellow. They're knowing that the summer's getting towards the end, so they're not as pretty and as good looking as they were. A little bit tatty, but they're still cover for the koi, so I shall not do anything about them. I shall leave them there. Now, if you remember, I put a new lily in some time ago that is actually down there somewhere. We're not going to see it, but I did put stainless steel mesh on the top to try to keep the koi out. Well, the stainless steel mesh has done a really good job, but it's been trying to send leaves out and the metal is killing the leaves off for some reason. It's not getting the leaves up at all. There was 3 or 4 leaves on it, they've died off, so I believe it's the stainless steel. They seem to be touching the stainless steel and just dying off. So I think it's the metal they're objecting to, so I've got to whip that out. But I'm not bothered, to be quite honest, because my little lily that I'm growing is going to go in there now. So I shall swap that over. I shall take it out eventually and swap it with the little fancy lily that I've got in the black tub that you've seen. I shall swap it with that and put that in that basket. So we'll see how we get on. But that's the plans for the pond at the minute. It's all going on in the shed, as you've seen. It's all happening down there. I'm pushing on as hard as I can. I'm just waiting for bits now. I'm stuck today because I've not got any of my bits here. But I want to push on with that pre-filter if I can and get it done. Get it up and get it running. Well guys, I will keep you posted on how things go in the shed and my projects. I will keep you up to date with them. But this brings us to the end of another video, I'm afraid. So all that's left for me to do is to say take care, thanks for watching, and as always, happy ponding.